TIFU by going on an antisemitic rant to my 4-year-old. This happened yesterday, but I didn't realize what I had done until this morning. I was in the car running errands with my 4-year-old son when he suddenly asks, "Why are some people Jewish on Christmas?" I vaguely remembered him watching some cartoons where bad guys want to steal Christmas, and I figured he meant, jealous. So I told him, well, those people are not nice, and they're greedy, and they want all the toys for themselves and not share, and I don't want you to be like that at all. He seemed to accept this and the conversation moved to something else. This morning my husband asked me if I told our son that Jewish people wanted all the toys to themselves. I immediately realized what happened. My son's daycare celebrated Hanukkah last week by coloring menorahs and making dreidels, and he was curious about Jewish people. TLDR. My son asked about Jewish people, but I thought he said, jealous people, and I explained how greedy those people are. It could have been worse. My nephew loves the Dodgers. He always boos Giants fans. He's understood this since about 3. He asked his dad about Jews. His dad uses the different team analogy for Jews and Christians. Dad is impressed with himself. We are Christians. My 3-year-old nephew finds out his dad's secretary is Jewish and yells, "Boo Jews!" and does thumbs down and everything. Dad is shocked. Secretary is confused to say the least. Dad's Jewish friends find it hysterical. Edit. I forgot a wrinkle. Every time my nephew would go, "Boo Giants," he'd get egged on and otherwise reinforced. I have a friend who several years ago bought a tent at an outdoor equipment clothing shop called Black's. She took the tent to a huge outdoor festival, started chatting to some friends on the camping site with tens of thousands people milling about, and started to complain about the shop. Apparently at one point she very loudly exclaimed, "I hate blacks." The realization hit pretty quickly, and she cried out in an even louder tone, "The outdoor store. Blacks, the outdoor store." I don't think she stayed outside long enough to gauge the reactions of the people nearby. Haha. I'm a paramedic. A few years back, I responded to an assisted living facility for a sick person. This particular facility is exclusively for Jewish people. This lady was in her 90s and had a number tattooed on her wrist. We get her in the back of the ambulance and start towards the hospital. The poor old woman farted, and she apologized. Without even thinking I said, "It's okay sweetheart, a little gas never killed anyone." I immediately regretted what came out of my mouth, but luckily, I don't think she heard me. I was mortified, but later was able to laugh at my stupidity. I didn't understand the nuances of this. You could say I'm anti-Semitic. When I was a young father I worked with a man who was anti-Semitic. He would always say things like, "It's the Jews," and, "Those damn Jews." I used to mock him and would mimic his voice at times. It became a thing I did whenever something happened that was mildly inconvenient. If I forgot my keys as I walked out the door I would mutter, "It's those Jews hiding my keys." One day my wife and her brother were driving with my daughter in the back seat. My brother-in-law complained about something and my 5-year-old daughter piped up, "It's probably those damn Jews." I had to reevaluate my language and have a long talk with her about how Daddy had been an idiot and she shouldn't blame random things on minorities. Reminds me of a story that was footing around Reddit a few years ago. Some lady posted on her Twitter, "I think it's true but yeah. Lady goes to a New Orleans Pelicans game with her significant other. She doesn't have much knowledge of the NBA. 2 guys in front of them are screaming things like, 'Fuck this Jew holiday. This Jew holiday is killing us. Just stop Jews everywhere tonight.' She's pissed off that no one even blinks at these guys and demands to leave. Finally after the game she realized the Pelicans had a pretty good guard named Drew Holiday. When I worked with kids, one asked me what KIA meant. This was a military organization, and I'm the type with my own daughter not to withhold but tailor information, thinking if they're asking me they already heard it somewhere. So I gently explained killed in action was a designation soldiers got when they don't come home. Then he was like, "Okay, so why do they put it on cars?" Thinking face, and I'm like, "No, that is a key." A young man forget I said anything. Tears of joy I feel. Ya op. Good catch to your husband. Be glad it all got unpacked quickly. Good luck with the little one. Smile. Did you explain this mistake to him later? This is hilarious. I can see a Curb Your Enthusiasm EP about this. Reminds me of this time I was teaching English as a second language, as a teacher trainee, to 13-year-old kids. At one point I ask, "Are there any questions?" And this kid puts up his hand. "What does whore mean?" I blink. "Sorry, can you repeat that?" He does. "What does whore mean?" I look over at the teacher, my mentor. He just shrugs and makes a "not my problem, you figure it out" gesture. Well, where did you hear that word? My brother says it all the time. Oh dear. Can you use it in a sentence? How did your brother use the word? Well, he plays these video games and then he shouts for the whore. Do you mean horde? ... So now you have to tell him about Chinese food and movies. Can you tell me what you mean? Is so powerful of a sentence as an adult with kids who are just figuring out words for the first time. My nephew has a bit of a speech impediment, so that has been my secret weapon, and he sounded like he said some wild shit lol. Jewish guy here, not a big deal at all. Honestly kinda comedic since it was accidental. Just explain your mistake to him and make sure you explain that your friend is Jewish and he's a great guy. I love the idea of joining in on the next major holiday. It's Purim, Jewish, Halloween, so that could be a lot of fun for a kid. When I was about 9, circa 1972, I was in the car with my dad. I asked him, "Dad, what is a fruit?" He stopped at a donut shop and I received a talk about how most men love women but sometimes a man can fall in love with another man. It was an enlightening talk and I learned a lot. However, the next day I failed my test distinguishing between fruits and vegetables. I can definitely understand miscommunications. I have a toddler myself and realized later on I misunderstood him and explained something completely irrelevant. I'm glad you were able to backtrack and fix the mistake. I take walks with my mom in her neighborhood. On our route, there are 3 driveways in a row that all have big black pickup trucks. 2 of the 3 are visibly well maintained, always washed and shiny. One has silver accents all over the place, the other is completely black, even the door handles, and the middle part of the wheel where it's usually silver etc. You see where this is going. We're shooting the shit, talking about these folks' nice trucks as we pass, and I refer to all black one and say that if I had to pick, I like this one best. Mom is like, which one? So I clarify, right as we're approaching, this one. Very black, with the black accents. We cross the driveway and there is a black man on the other side of the big black truck frowning at me. I'm still mortified. If I could go back in time I would immediately say, "I like your truck," when we met eyes. I tend to only think of these things later, alas. I used to play Pokémon Go a lot, and the teams are divided by color, red, yellow, blue. I was blue. The gyms where we would fight are usually at landmarks, such as churches. One day we had once again lost a gym to the yellow team, and I shouted, "These goddamn yellow people are taking over," just as the first Korean church, where the gym was located, was letting out. I just ran away. One day, when I was probably 3 or 4, my dad took me to play on a park playground in a heavily Jewish area of New Jersey. We are not Jewish. He was sitting in a park bench reading, when suddenly he is horrified to hear me come down the slide screaming, "The Jews! Get the Jews!" He has absolutely no idea where I even learned to say this phrase, because he and my mother are not anti-Semitic, and no one they know of that spent time with me is either. Embarrassed as hell, he quickly ushers me away from the playground while the other parents look at us with disgust. Once we are in the car, he asks me who taught me to say that. Once I explain about how we were pirates and protecting our treasure chest, he realizes. I was saying, "Get the jewels. Get the jewels." I worked for a small Chinese-owned company and one day the owner's wife came in asking me, "How things go with the erection?" "Excuse me?" I said. "Erection," she said again, "Did you do erection?" I'm sorry, I don't think I know what you mean." "Erection, erection," she said back. Vote. Did you vote?" Yes. I voted. I had no idea where that was going but glad it didn't end up where I thought it would and I never explained to her what she was actually saying. "Welp, you fucked up hard. Get that kid into art school immediately, this can't be allowed to happen again."